What's going on, party people? I'm James, joined by Kaelyn. We're the hosts of the MMA Mainstream Podcast through MMA Fight Pass. Sorry we weren't with you last week. Allergies are a pain in the ass. I sounded like the fourth guy from Boys to Men. I had the deepest voice ever, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have held out. So unfortunately, we didn't have one last week, but we are back this week, and there's no fights this weekend because it's July 4th. We celebrate our independence by not having any fights, but it is what it is. So you happened to catch the UFC fight night that happened last week.
Yes.
And you told me you had some notes, so I'm going to go ahead and let you take the reins on that. And I will bring up the website for the UFC. All right, I guess we'll start with the lightweight bout on the main card. I'm not even going to pronounce these guys' names. I'll leave that to you this time.
Yeah. Moycano versus Herbert. That one was pretty cool to watch. Moycano's more of a jiu-jitsu guy, so immediately goes for the takedown. I think he scored 2 takedowns like right away. It was kind of funny because his first one, it's almost like he let him down gently. It's like a very soft takedown. It was funny because
okay, here we go.
And you'd hear like DC in the background. It's like, oh man, he's being way too nice. But then he right away came back and got another takedown right after that. That was not as soft as the first one. But Herbert did land some heavy shots there. Ultimately got taken down again. Moycano almost ended that fight with a ground and pound, but just decided to pull off a submission really quick at the end and got the sub. So,
especially with 30 seconds left in the second.
Yeah, I know, it was cool. He was definitely handling him, so it was cool to see. But yeah, that's it. That's about it for that one.
Do you happen to know what the submission was?
I forgot. I don't know.
All right.
He was on his back, so maybe
at least that was an exciting fight. More than likely, if that's the situation.
But man, he was pretty much out with that ground and pound, though. He just wrapped his arm around his neck just to be like a for sure finish. So good for him.
And then we have Tim Means versus Nicholas Dalby.
Yeah, Tim Means. Right away, landing heavy shots. Both these guys fought really hard on the feet. Means landed some pretty heavy. This was round. They went back and forth. Round 1, pretty much on the feet. Round 2, Means kind of turned it up a little bit. He started getting him some really hard elbows. But then, right after that, Dalby came back with some heavy shots. Tim Means had control over most of the fight, definitely round 3. So he got the win by decision.
Right.
These guys are pretty good. That was a pretty exciting one, at least, because all their shots were hard, mostly stand up. So that was entertaining.
This card more like a kickboxing match than anything.
Yeah. This card was all right, I guess. I don't know, not the most exciting one, but whatever.
Now, the one I want to hear about is this fight. Andre Fili versus Daniel Pineda. No contest?
Yeah, but man, I felt so bad for Andre Fili. He was doing so good. He was beating him up really bad. Like, I've never seen him. I think this is one of the best performances I've ever seen him do. So disappointing for it to end in a no contest like that for an eye poke. But Pineda was kind of so the doctor came in to check his eye, and you could tell he couldn't open it. But he's like, I can see. And the doctor gave him an eye test. He's like, how many fingers am I holding up? Definitely got the answer wrong. Yeah, for sure. Got the answer wrong. So he's like, no, man. It's kind of started contesting it a little bit. And the doctor gave him another eye test. He didn't even have an answer for it. So he's like, and you can't see. He's like, no. He really didn't want to end the fight like that. He really didn't. But if he would have kept going, he would have gotten probably finished pretty quickly, man. That guy could take a hard punch. But he got pretty beat up there. But man, I wanted to see more of Andre Fili in that fight. He was doing so good. Everything he did was so sharp and strong, and just, I don't know. He was on point that night, except for that eye poke, but that was super disappointing. I wanted to see more of that fight, definitely.
Yeah, Fili, he's competed here at Tachi, and solid fighter. Yeah, he came up through here and to the UFC, and he's a phenomenal fighter. I'm really sad that happened because he's such a good fighter.
Yeah, man, I feel like he's been trying so hard. I don't remember his fight before this one. I think it's been a while. But man, I was so happy for him. He looked like he really started to like mature, evolve. Like this fight was the fight for him. And oh man, that sucks. It had to end like that. And they're not going to get a rematch, of course. But no. I hope that the UFC takes into account how good he did and gives him another opponent. Hopefully soon. I'd like to see him again. Really soon.
Yeah, it'd be nice, especially when you see what's happened with previous situations of an eye poke, where you had Bilal Muhammad in that situation.
I don't even remember the last. There's been a ton of eye pokes, of course, but
this year there seems to be a lot more than previous years that I recall.
No, it's happening like every fight card, at least one. Somewhere on the fight card, either it's early prelims, or main card. But I don't think I can recall any fight being rescheduled or rematched because of that. They kind of just move on from that.
Yeah, it's on to the next.
Yeah. I mean, for Pineda, I guess maybe he got out a little lucky from that fight because he was not going to last.
All right, let's go ahead and move to the Bantamweight Division. Let's see.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
We have a majority decision.
Yeah, this fight was pretty good. I'm not going to lie, I got a little bored, but it was mostly a stand-up fight. But it was a very close fight, too. The win went to Valiev, though. I don't know. I guess it was just too close. That's all I really have to say about that one. It was just all right, I guess. Both tough guys, though.
Fight.
Their energy level was pretty high the whole fight, so that was pretty cool.
All right. Then we're going to keep going to some heavyweights.
Yeah. So, Ovince St. Preux, he has not been heavyweight before, right? I was trying to think.
I'm not quite sure about, because I've heard, I don't recall if he was or not. I've seen him for a long time. I just don't remember what weight class.
Must have been light heavyweight.
Could have been.
I think so. He may have even, I don't know. Might have been middleweight too, but I think it was light heavyweight mostly. But anyways, so this fight, so man, these guys were going at it. So actually, I should say Boser came out with heavy shots, like you would expect. But Ovince St. Preux has a history of starting out slow. And it just, man, for the first couple of rounds, seemed like he was just waiting, kind of taking some heavy shots too.
Especially when you look at total strikes and then significant strikes, Boser was in control.
Yes. Well, yeah. And the thing is that Ovince St. Preux, his style is him starting out kind of slow most of the time. But man, you can't really wait that long when you're only fighting 3 rounds. And especially with heavyweights, I mean, you should just throw, because you get caught with any of their shots, it's not going to be good. Going to take some damage. But Boser got the KO, so good for him. He came out, he did really good, actually. But Ovince St. Preux didn't really look like he had any kind of urgency to land any of his own. He took a lot of heavy body shots, too. So I was kind of, I don't know. He held his composure, but still didn't really hit the gas pedal on this one.
Now, was Boser's performance good enough for him to fight a top 10, top 15 opponent, or should he get another fight, then get that?
Oh, top 15 for sure. Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about heavyweights, put them in there. Do it, What are you waiting for? Heavyweights, I feel like heavyweights are just so anything could happen anyways, no matter what ranking you are. You're a heavyweight. You could knock anyone out at any time. You can get knocked out at any time. Just do it. Heavyweight's kind of a different weight class. A little crazy. I think you should.
There's more power in it than anything. So I completely understand
that. You never know. Take the chances.
And in the main event, another heavyweight bout.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was bored during this one. Sarah Gong got the decision. I was not impressed, I have to say. I wasn't really impressed. I was a little disappointed, but he'll move on. He'll fight whoever's next, but I'm not impressed or really don't care too much about his next fight. I'm not really looking forward to it that much. I'm not saying it wasn't a good fight. I'm just, nothing significant really stood out to me, and I was just kind of waiting for the round.
His next fight should be more exciting than this fight. That's for sure. It should be.
Yeah, and I was hoping this one would have made some kind of heavier impact on people waiting for his next fight. Now I'm like, well, whatever.
Because he got the decision win, but they've already figured out what they're going to do with him, and he's going to take on Derek Lewis for the interim heavyweight championship at UFC 265.
Yeah, I'm confused by this.
I am too, because this also led to another situation that was in the news about Dana White blasting Nganu, the current heavyweight champion's manager, and nearly blackballing him. And we were discussing this before we started the show. First of all, it's at least to us, it was surprising that they're already going to go with having an interim champion when he just won. So
yeah, something's going on there.
Was it a money issue? Is it an injury that that wasn't disclosed, and so he's going to be taking some time off? We don't really.
I have an idea of what could be it, and I don't know if this is just Dana White being a jackass. I don't know. But I do know that Francis has been paying attention to how much money boxers make and made a few comments based off of some of those, the celebrity.
Every fighter, though.
Now
his status is a lot higher because he is the champ. He is the face of the UFC, being the heavyweight champ. But every fighter has
long, though.
That's true. Every fighter has had that problem.
Yeah. And the thing with Dana White, though, if you try to argue with him, he doesn't really give. He doesn't give in. You don't really have Dana White in any kind of situation where you're going to make him do something, unless you're John Jones, which is a fair argument because that's who he is. John Jones,
true,
has been the champion
but
forever.
Also, John Jones is a guaranteed moneymaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Jones sells pay-per-views.
Okay.
That's why he there's more give and take being a John Jones than a Francis Ngannou, because Ngannou hasn't been tested on the pay-per-view side yet to where when they put him out there, they promote him well, because that's what they do. They promote fights really well, of course. That's their goal. Yet,
I think
he sell pay-per-views?
Right. I think Francis is almost there, though. He's almost there. He's been around for a long time. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone's afraid of him. He's got that, that demeanor about him where everyone should be terrified to fight him.
If he keeps with that knockout power, that Mike Tyson style, then he'll be there pretty quick.
Yeah. Speaking of Mike Tyson, another thing is the reason why I think it could be, unless I just need to do more research. Maybe there is something out there that explains this, but I don't think so. That I know he's been talked to by Mike Tyson about, they did a podcast not that long ago where they were talking about fighter pay. Obviously, boxers get a lot more money than MMA does. And Mike Tyson was kind of just saying, hey, man, you got to make a name for yourself. You got to demand what you want. You got to be more assertive. You got to stand up for yourself, and you got to know what you deserve, and you should ask for it. So that's what makes me think this might be a money issue. I think too many people have been giving him advice, and he, took the advice and probably thinks, yeah, you're right, I should get paid a lot. And he should. Everyone should, to be honest, who's fighting. I think that if you're fighting, man, you're putting your body on the line. I think you should get paid the most for doing this kind of career, because the career doesn't last long and you're taking damage every single time you get in there. That could potentially, you could potentially end your career every fight that you have, because you know, fights, you never know what's going to happen. That's what makes it exciting. The adrenaline that you get from stepping in there, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, you've trained for so long for this situation, but you don't really know what's going to happen. You can only be as prepared as possible. And I think people should be compensated for that. I think that they should have their medical bills paid for. I think that, you know, especially the UFC, for being the top organization like that, should, you know, step up and do that if they have the money. I'm pretty sure they do. But so I agree with fighters wanting more money, but this whole situation, I'm not really sure if that's the situation. Maybe he's injured. Nobody knows. So I would like to find out more about this, you know?
I completely agree with what you just said. Fighters should get paid more. These guys their shelf life is only so long. Yeah. And you only have so much time to compete, and, you know, try to make the most that you can.
Yeah. So, especially UFC, you know, they have money. You know?
Exactly. They're
champions,
a company. They're okay.
Their champions should definitely get paid the best. He is a champion. He's the heavyweight champion. He deserves some money. Fighters deserve all the money in the world. I think that, you know, you can sit behind a desk and be a millionaire, but you don't really have my respect. I don't know about anyone else. I'm just a fight fan anyway. But
the same here.
Respect,
that's what it boils down to, that we are just fight fans. But do we think fighters should get paid more? Of course. Yes. This is a sport we enjoy. That we time. Yep. Yeah. That's exactly it.
So I don't mind if that's, I hope maybe that's the situation. I hope he's not injured. He might be injured because for someone to just introduce an interim title, that usually means that fighters been out for a while. They've been injured.
Yeah, but it's only been 3 months. So that's why this situation is kind of weird. Like, what's really going on? Especially to have the argument that they had.
Unless he turned down some fights and Dana White's frustrated. I don't know. Who knows? I wish I knew more about this. If anyone knows, please let me know. If there's anything else out there on this.
But we'll have Derek Lewis versus Cyril Gane, and it'll be for the heavyweight title. Yeah.
Why does it have to be an interim? Just let him fight, and then whoever wins, title shot.
Yeah, it's whoever wins the title. That's exactly it.
A belt literally means nothing, by the way. You know.
An interim belt literally means nothing.
Exactly. Just
now,
instead of giving him a belt,
title, that means something.
Instead of giving him the belt, pay him more money. How about that?
And what about that? What about that BAMF title? I don't think it's ever been defended. So
I don't think it was meant to be defended. I think that was a one-time thing originally.
That's stupid. Well, that should be defended. And that should, honestly, because of what it is, should be multi-weight class. That would be crazy. I know it wouldn't be probably sanctioned by the Athletic Commission, but that would be dope.
Of course it would. Oh, yeah. Well, you like freak shows, of course. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. That BMF belt kind of threw a wrench in everything, didn't it? I mean, here you have this organization that brings up champions, gives them belts, mostly. And it
literally has an entire fleet of badass motherfuckers.
Yeah, I'm not going to say they have like strict rules on how they follow the rankings, because we all know it gets weird sometimes, and you know what the fans want they get, which I think this whole BMF belt was anyway to begin with. I don't know. I don't want to see it. I kind of don't want to see it get defended. I think it is what it is. I think it's great. If maybe they want to do something else, something like that, go for it. I think that BMF belt should mean something special. You know, they got it. Let them have it. You know, you're not coming up in the rankings. You're not getting the actual belt. It's kind of just like I don't know. It's weird. I thought the whole thing was
it's
weird.
A prop?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think it should be defended.
Maybe you could do something like give a BMF belt for every weight class. Whatever.
That'd be interesting. But then I feel like that would just get
too many.
Yeah, it's like it'd be like all the boxing titles. You just get lost.
There's too many.
There's so many.
Yeah. And they start unifying them, like every single one. And you're like, all right, man, what is this?
Yeah, that gets old real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking of fighter pay, we were also going to discuss Sarah Alpar and Jake Paul.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
Sarah Alpar created a GoFundMe and hasn't been making very much money in the world of fighting. She is a barista to make ends meet to support her family. And Jake Paul and Triller donated money to her GoFundMe in order for her to train full time and not worry about it.
Oh man, that's so sweet. That's so nice.
That's very sweet. I feel like that's more of, another jab at Dana White to be like, hey man, you need to pay these fighters more.
You don't just get something nice from someone. There's always something else going on there. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
I think it's great that they did that for her.
Yeah. I think this guy's always got another motive.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it's also like, is he really that bad of a guy to do something so nice?
Always poking jabs at the UFC, poking jabs at the fighters, the retired ones, the ones that don't strike, and Dana White, of course. He's trying to make some noise.
He's trying to drum up publicity, plain and simple. That's what it is.
Yeah. But hey, I like this though. This is very nice. You might as well do something nice while you're at it. I like that. Exactly.
I completely agree with that.
He could have changed your life by that. You know that?
I imagine so. $30,000, like
that's a lot.
That's going to be awesome. And she had hopes of hitting her goal by December 1st, but she hit it with 5 months to spare. So
nice.
That's awesome. Now she can get back. Now she can get back to training completely full time and not have to worry about that.
Yeah, give her some fight too.
That's the thing. Her fights kept falling off too, so that's why she wasn't making any money. Hopefully, her fights won't fall through, and she'll be able to get in there and mix it up.
If not, keep on training. It's paid for now, so that's great.
That's very true. Yeah, bills are taken care of for the next few months until she can get that fight.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And then speaking of, which Paul did I just mention? Jake Paul.
Okay. Yeah, that was
Tyrone Woodley training with Floyd Mayweather for his boxing showdown with Jake Paul.
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. This is Jake Paul now?
No, Jake Paul. Jake Paul was the one who donated money.
Jake Paul, okay.
Yeah. And Tyrone Woodley is going to be competing against Jake Paul.
Oh, Jake Paul. Okay. I'm getting them. I get the two guys mixed up.
Dude, I do too. I really do. I'm like, one of those stupid guys.
Logan Paul fought Mayweather, right? Logan Paul fought Mayweather, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No, he just did.
I don't know who's who anymore.
No, Logan Paul just fought Floyd Mayweather, but Jake Paul, I don't know, man. They both fight, so whatever.
Yeah, but Tyrone Woodley is training with him, so hopefully his striking will be a lot crisper.
Oh God, I hope so. It better be.
He'll be more on the defensive side because of that.
Well, Tyrone Woodley's a defensive fighter anyway.
True, but maybe he'll slip the jab more because it is going to be a boxing match.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Man, that would be a bad day to see him lose to this guy.
Yeah, especially because when you look at the Ben Askren situation.
Okay, that was made for Ben Askren to lose, though. Come on, this might be a good fight. This might actually be a good fight. I don't know.
I hope so.
This one at least has the chance to be a good fight, like a competitive one.
You know what? I'll just say this: we will always have Anderson Silva versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We will always have that. That was such a good fight for him.
I was relieved to see that, really. But then after hearing, I guess those guys aren't in the best shape anymore. So,
still, he's still the Spider.
I know. This is awesome. Wasn't this his first go at boxing too? That was yeah. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised.
That we'll always have that, no matter what, as it pertains to the world of boxers versus MMA.
Yeah, we got one.
Our buddy Rudy Sanchez commented, "Nice hat. Thank you, sir. Got it from you over at Halo, representing the Voodoo brand. Appreciate that." Let's see what else we got going on. Tired of talking about Jake Paul. That's all. We're done.
Are you sure?
We don't need to discuss him anymore right now. We're done.
Hey, question. I didn't ask you before. Did you happen to catch the bare knuckle fighting that was on last weekend?
I did not. I heard a little bit about it. I was actually going to mention that at the end of the show with Diego Sanchez.
Oh, yeah. I think I heard something
him
about
showing up at a press conference.
He
which is
did.
Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Is he trying to make his
I did
way
not.
in there?
He probably will, because they're probably like, "Hey, we'll pay you so much to come show up to this."
They'd probably love to have him too.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, because he's already on the backside of his career, and I feel like he's already, because of his management or previous management, I should say, he's already in a bad situation.
Yeah,
I don't think he's all together.
No, he's not. But
after some of those wars he's been in, and I feel like this is not a smart move for him unless he does some type of maybe commentary, some type of play-by-play announcing. That would be nice. Yeah. But the big money would be in him competing.
I guess, but how long do you push that, man? It's already been a while. I don't know. Whatever. Everyone goes to bare knuckle, it seems like, after
that's true. It's like basically, okay, well, this is,
but it kind of is.
For MMA fighters, I haven't seen anybody young, and this may sound terrible, and I don't mean it to sound terrible. You haven't seen any fresh MMA fighters competing in that before going into MMA. It's usually fighters at the tail end of their careers.
I think it's for sure. Yeah, that's the way it is now. I think eventually we'll come across that because it is growing. But I was gonna say, the last time I watched the bare knuckle fighting, I said it was so cringy. I'm like, I can't. This is hard to watch. I still feel the same way. The only difference now is their undercard is a complete circus. I'm like, what am I? I mean, I watched it, but I'm like, man, what are these guys even doing this for? They're leaving with their face.
You saw a bunch of clowns.
It's a bar fight in a ring.
It's like the equivalent of an old school tough man contest.
Definitely. A little more professional, but yeah, for sure. But I was going to say,
that's the idea.
But what I was going to say, when it got to the main card, those fights were a lot better. They were a lot more skill involved, and they looked like fighters. And the undercard is just like, well, you got two big dudes. Look like they just got out of prison throwing hooks. All right. But the main card, there was a lot of, you could see footwork and all this other stuff and the speed. And it was definitely refreshing to see that after the undercard. And then I still fell asleep towards the end. Like the last two fights, I fell asleep. I'll go back and watch it.
Happens.
But the first few fights on the main card were a lot better than the undercard, and it got a lot more of my respect. But the fact that it's still cringy to me. I don't know. I'm waiting for it to get better.
It will. I feel like as it gains popularity and more notoriety, it will hit a certain apex to where you'll have a certain level of talent there.
I just don't see any fighters being like, man, I wish I could go do that. And then,
that's true.
Rather than like, I'm trying to get in the UFC, I don't think you're going to find someone that would choose bare knuckle over UFC.
Well, it depends. You got some of those guys out there, like when they compete, like when they fight somebody at a bar, and they're like, "Man, I only fight in the street."
Speaking of bar fights, that was a good segue.
Thank you. Yeah, speaking of bar fights, Joe Schilling, Bellator fighter, glory kickboxer. This dude knows what's up with striking.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, just a tad. Just a little bit. Just a scotch. Was at a bar.
Man.
And this guy in the tie is going to get lit up. There's Joe. Walks past him. The guy says something to him. Punks him out. No, you don't do that. You're going to sleep. And that's exactly what happened.
Oh, that was so professional. I love it.
That was awesome. Not for that guy. That guy shouldn't have done that, given You never. Okay, so let's just be real as it pertains to situations like that in a restaurant, bar, what have you, in a public setting.
Was he the bartender?
No, I don't know. No, it didn't look like it.
It looked like he
looked like a manager of an Applebee's, and that wasn't an Applebee's.
I know.
So
yeah.
maybe it was a Chili's.
It looked like he was wearing a uniform. Maybe I thought he were.
It looked like he just got off work and he was hanging out with his friends and was trying to show out like, oh, I'm bad. And then you have Joe Schilling come by.
Yeah, or
and
also
he probably said something to him. People. Yeah, he probably said something to him that we didn't see because there was a person in front of it. But then you did see over the shoulder that he tried to punk him.
He did.
And Joe Schilling was like, eat a 2-piece. Good night now.
Yeah, it's happened so fast.
Yeah, and Joe Schilling said that it was a situation and it was self-defense and he called the guy a racist. So I don't know exactly what happened, but
throw those
Joe Schilling for the knockout. But when you're in a situation like that, you don't know what the other person knows. So usually it doesn't go anywhere. It's like it was just a misunderstanding. I don't know what that guy said to Joe Schilling, but that guy got put to sleep. Yeah. So he shouldn't have said what he said to Joe Schilling.
I bet that guy doesn't remember what he said either. So
probably because if I bump into somebody, oh, excuse me, sorry about that. No, yeah, I'm not trying to show out.
It was an accident.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that guy thought he had something. I'm like, I was watching this like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I saw that, but then I kind of got distracted. There is totally a lady not wearing a shirt in that video. I don't know if you caught that.
I mean, I did, but I'm just trying to I'm trying to focus on the situation at hand.
I was trying to. I'm like, what? At first, I'm like, because I saw it online. I'm like, what am I watching? Okay, there's a lady.
And then you saw the guy fall down, and you're like, oh.
I'm like, oh, that's Joe Schilling. That was funny.
So Joe Schilling, man.
I heard he's facing charges.
And that's what sucks is because he is a professional fighter. He has a knowledge that the general public does not have as it pertains to striking.
Don't you I don't know if this is just something that used to be and is not anymore. Isn't there like a rule that you can't really start fights on the street like that if you're fighting professionally, or is that just some organizations that require that or something?
I think it's more of a professional thing. It's not like his hands are registered lethal weapons.
I know that's kind of what I was getting at, but not really.
No, that's always been a joke. But it's usually, I mean, from what I've seen throughout my lifetime, is that fighters are usually pretty chill, and people usually know not to mess with them.
But when they do, it's like, are you supposed to take it?
And people that want to mess with them are usually people that have no business messing with them.
I know. They need to be taught a lesson.
Prime example. You've heard of former Chicago Bear Brian Urlacher, right?
No. Nope.
Okay.
What happened?
This does not help the story. Okay. Brian Urlacher, big dude, played years in the NFL, played for the Bears mostly. Do you know who Boss Rudin is?
Of course, yeah.
Thank God, at least you know that. All right. Before Boss Rudin was what we know as Boss Rudin, the legend of Boss Rudin, he was
legend.
He's always been a legend, right?
Yeah.
He was a dude who was competing in different martial arts and what have you. And he had accidentally stepped on Brian Urlacher's shoe at a huge function. Oh. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. But he was very apologetic that he did it. But Urlacher wanted to start shit with him. And wanted to get into a fight with him. But then Urlacher's buddies calmed him down and were like, dude, you don't know who that is. This will not end well.
Oh, no.
And they explained to him that that's Boss Rudin, that dude will beat the shit out of you. Don't do this. Yeah. And so cooler heads prevailed, and he went over there and he apologized, like, dude, I'm sorry. Ooh. And a whole situation was avoided. But yeah, can you imagine that? Boss Rudin beating up Ryan Urlacher.
I don't have enough faith in humanity for anyone to pass up a fight on the street. You know? That's impressive.
That's true, but hey, man, thank goodness his friends knew who that was.
He got lucky. Yeah, he got
very lucky. Because that would not have ended well. Who doesn't? He's a guapo.
He has his own like fitness products and stuff. I bought I bought one of his mouthpieces. It was it's a mouthpiece you put in. You can only breathe through these tiny holes on the side. Increases your cardio, whatever, for a little while. It worked. It was nice.
Okay, as long as it worked. If it didn't work, that would suck.
No, it worked. I died. I almost passed out a few times. Whatever.
Jeez. Well, hard to stand, I guess.
Use it. You're not really supposed to use it for that long. You know, it's just supposed to open up your lungs and get your lungs conditioned. But, you know, there's a point where you're cutting off oxygen to your brain. It's unsafe at a certain point. You got to know when to stop.
Touche.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it for this week in the world of MMA. And that's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. So we will see you guys next time when we'll have plenty to talk about because we have the UFC pay-per-view coming up with McGregor versus Poirier.
Yeah.
So we have that to look forward to. That's going to be exciting. We'll discuss that main card next time. And we will see you guys later. Have a happy 4th and good night.